This is Groundeffected. My name is your dad, and welcome to that one little cat hair that you find every single time you paint a model, even if you don't have a cat. In this video, I'm going to show you how I painted my free model, which I picked up from the Games Workshop shop. Basically, once a month they do a free model. You have to sit in the shop, you have to build the thing in the shop. Kind of sucks a little bit, but it's okay. If you want a free model, go to your local Games Workshop and ask them about the model of the month, and prepare to sit for an hour putting together this tiny little model with no instructions. This month was the Leagues of Votan, and I got my free little model. I'll be damned if I don't go sit there for at least half an hour cutting out little pieces of plastic and sticking them together so I can take my free model home. Apparently every month the people of that store put their models in the shelf and show everybody how they painted their models for that month. So they asked if I would bring mine in to display it on their shelf, and this is what I did. I just so happened to have some of this footage available. I wasn't actually going to record this model, but I needed to paint it because I wanted to stick it in the shelf. I went and built it. It was a free model. I felt bad because it was a free model, and when they said I needed to put it in the shelf, I had to paint it and take it and put it in the shelf. So this model, I wanted to make something just a little bit different, and I wanted to create a little bit of light coming from the bottom, perhaps some kind of, I don't know, alien world that this dude has landed on, and there is this weird glowing stuff at the bottom of it. Basically, I want the light source to be at the bottom of the model. So you'll notice in my Zenithal highlight, I'm shading it from the bottom as well as from the top. Essentially, I need colors to be light on the top of the model as the sun or whatever external light is hitting it, but there is also a light at the bottom of the model, so I need the light to be coming from the bottom too. For the light, I'm going to use a pinkish color, and I'm also going to paint this essentially straight from the bottom. It's one of these fluorescent colors from Vallejo, which I really like, and I'm actually going to try get a little bit more of them in the future to test out. I did the usual thing I do with my safety net when it comes to painting models at this moment. I don't know why, but blue is going to be apparently the color of every model I ever paint from now on. Basically, that is what I have available, and it's what I'm going to use. So pretty much we made a blue little dwarf man from space, basically. And what I wanted to do was I needed a color that would actually complement the pink that I was using, and so blue just seemed to be the perfect color. Once I got the blue layers down, I'm going to go through and paint all the objects that I want to paint again a different color later with black. And this is just going to actually frame everything for me nicely for when I come back and paint their colors on them. For the gun, I'm going to dry brush one of my favorite colors for dry brushing at the moment. It is a very wet color. I don't even know if that's actually a way of describing paint, but this paint is a little bit wetter than usual. So pretty much needs to be quite really dry brush when you take the paint off of the brush, because otherwise you will definitely have a bad time with streaking. I added a bit of white to areas that I wanted to lighten up. I later came back and added colors to these white lines. In a previous video, someone mentioned I forgot to paint the bullets, so don't argue with me this time. I painted the bullets, except that they are painted. I painted this little light that's on his chest, even though it's going to be covered by the gun. I just wanted to know that I had painted it, so I painted it. I painted it white at first because later on we're going to come back and spray a bit of yellow to get a little bit of a glow to that too. I used my favorite brown that I have available at the moment, and this is basically a satchel brown color. It's the true name of it is satchel brown color, and you paint this over all the satchels. This is to make them look brown. I take that same silver. Like I said, the coverage is super great on the silver. It is a little bit wet, but I use that to accent a lot of things. It really stands out. It's super bright and shiny, which is really great about that paint. I used this contrast paint, Griffhound Charger, Griff something or another charger, and I used that to paint all the elbow pads and knee guards on this dude. This is because he is an avid roller skater, and sometimes he wants to be prepared in case he falls over. For the clothing, I didn't paint all the clothes. I only painted his t-shirt, which I painted with like a bone ivory kind of color, and this was going to be washed over later just to create a bit of shadows on them. Here you can see a lot of the silver, the way it works on the model is super great. It goes on really well and it really stands out nicely. I used this on the face as well, only because the coverage is super great with a very thin layer, so I didn't want to obscure any details in the face, and this was a really good way of doing it. Again, I added white to things that I was gonna highlight with colors later on, like buttons or lights or anything like that, and you can see me adding the reds over the top of those buttons as we're working. For the face, I just added a little bit of a red stripe around his mouth and then a little bit of that pinstriping wash around it just to create a bit more depth in it, and that's where I called the model done. Hopefully you managed to pick something out of this super quick video. I know it was really quick. Currently, as we speak, it is now super late at night. Everyone is sleeping. I'm recording this video after working in the studio, which I've been working on, so things are really crazy at the moment. So there will be a couple of weird videos, a lot shorter than usual, but mainly just to try get through this little period of time that I'm building the studio. Of course, the best thing you can do to support the channel is click that like button, comment in the little space that YouTube gives you to comment below, and share it with your gran. If you want to support any further than that, obviously there is the Patreon. And speaking of the Patreon, I must say a super special thank you to the Patreons. When I mentioned at first about the studio, so many of you guys stepped up and helped out. You increased your tiers, and this is honestly been such a godsend. It is really helping the channel. Without you guys, I don't think the studio was even going to be possible, and I must say a super special thank you. And there is one new Patreon that I need to say thank you to right now. David Pinheiro. I have no idea how to say these names. I'm probably butchering things again. Let's just get to the part where I get to tell you, if you don't like anything you saw in this video, just click the dislike button, dude, and then f*** off. Now I'm going back to my shop so I can paint some more walls. Thank you for watching, and please come again soon.